In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove and replace spark plug wires on a 5.9 liter Dodge Ram 2500. We're going to have to remove the air box, so I'm going to take the air box inlet hose off out of the fender well, then off the air box. Now I'm going to remove the vent hose from the valve cover to the air box. So to take this top of the air box off the throttle body, way back here is a little round clamp. It's 8 or a 5/16, 8 millimeter or 5/16 socket, or a flathead screwdriver. If you have the patience, go for it. Loosen that up. And right in here is a little rubber damper. You're gonna pop it out of that. Don't forget the rubber ring or paper sometimes. So here on this 5.9, the firing order is right on top of the intake here. So it says 1843657 because it's an 8-cylinder. So quick reference, if you never know left or right bank, it always is talking about as if you're in the driver's seat. Not outside the engine looking at it. If someone says right bank, they mean if you're in the driver's seat, the right side, which would be here on the passenger side. And this is the driver's side. Technically, this is the left bank, and this is the right bank. Another quick indicator is to look for the most forward cylinder to the drive belt or the timing chain area. The most forward cylinder will always be cylinder 1. Okay, so to get started on plug wires, what I recommend is getting a Sharpie or a piece of masking tape that you can draw on and marking each cylinder one at a time. If you have firing order, that's great. Even the best of the best, longest pros, it's just an easier way to keep track. So I'm going to get my Sharpie and my new plug wires, and I'm going to get inside the truck here because the distributor is located way out back there. Let's get into it. So I'm going to take my Sharpie because I'm going to number the end of the plug wires. Usually I would do the cap if I could get to it, but this is such a tight fit that I'm going to go, this is number 2, this is 2, 4, 6, 8 over here, and you'll see the easy way to do this. Now I'm going to go to the other side and do 1, 3, 5, 7 on that side. Then we're going to pull all the wires out, and I'll show you how to do it quickly. These ones I can't see, so I'm just going to pull these right out. And this is 5, and then 7. While I'm over here, I'm just going to pull out 1 and 3 also. Now you can twist them and then pull. The twisting is the key. There we go. I'm going to kind of free them up here. Get them up all the way up to the top of the engine. Now let's go back to bank 2, 4, 6, 8. Here's the ignition coil wire. Now that one you can't ever get confused because they're going to have the same ends on them. They both have 2 90-degree angle boots on them. We're just going to get that right out of the way. Now I can just grab my 2 and 4, give them a twist, pull. 6 and 8. Now I'm going to grab those wires, pull them up here to the top of the engine. And when you have a difficult engine like this to work on, with that distributor cap really hard to get to, and trace all the wires, this is the easy and fast way to do it. Pull them all up. Now we're going to take that distributor cap off. And it's 2 mount screws. You can use a Phillips screwdriver or a socket. All right, so it is a 7 millimeter socket. And trust me, this is so much easier than a Phillips screwdriver. And then 1 over here. Here we go. Let's pull the cap up. Let's grab all the wires and direct them back there so they'll come through. So here is our new set of wires, and I'm going to grab that coil wire right off the bat. I told you it has the 290-degree angle boots. Set that aside. Now on the distributor cap, I'm going to take that coil wire right off and keep that out of my way. So I know that this is bank 2468 and this is bank 1357. So we're going to grab our wires in different sets. We have two identical ones of the short ones there. One on this side, I would assume, and one on that side. Well, let's just keep the two shorts together. They might all be in the same length in different patterns, so I go like this, bring them down. Yep, I've got two that are the same length here. So I got small, medium, and I have two that are the same length on the long side. That's these two. And then these two are a little offset. One's longer than the other, so they don't go to either pile. See? So medium and longer. So go ahead and replace them one at a time, measuring them up to the old wires to the new wires for the proper length and marking the ends. And that way you can do it in the proper firing order and going around and marking the end of the boots. And it would be start with the cylinder 1, and it's going to go clockwise, and the cap is marked 1. So you have 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. I'm going to go with where that distributor is. That 1 is the furthest one. So let's see if this is number 1. And on the cap, it is. There's number 1. The cap is marked. A good cap will be marked, cylinder 1. So I'm going to take this wire. I'm assuming it's one of the longest ones. And there you have it. It's a little bit longer than those. This one was shorter than the other one. Correct? Yep. So I'm going to grab one of the longest ones, and I'm going to take the number 1 plug wire, the old one, and toss it. First I'm going to take this loom off. If it's a good enough shape, I'm going to put it back on. Take the old wire, throw it aside. Easy way to put these back on is find the opening, and then just slide it right down, just like that. Now I'm not putting dielectric grease on this or anything because it can interfere. I know that inside the boot it looks good. Just give it a quick look, make sure everything looks like it should, and then push down, you hear a click, and you'll feel a click. Now I know that's 1, mark it number 1. Seems kind of tedious, but believe me, you can't just rip them all out and think you know it, because you'll spend more time than you need to. This is definitely a short one. So I'm going to take my shortest ones, line it up, perfect. 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. Nice short one. Look at that wire. Look at that. That thing was arcing. No way it was not, especially when it got wet or if it was raining. It's crazy how the abuse that plug wires will take. And this is number 7. Let's take that one off. Now this sheathing doesn't look like there's got much to it, so I'm probably not going to replace it. Or if I can't, it's brittle. So there we go. Let's find the other short one, which would be this one. So that would be cylinder 5. So I'm kind of getting down there in the amount of wires I have, so I can now put them over here, kind of break them up. Now we know that 2 and 4 are way in the front, so we're going to take our next 2 longest ones and bring them 2 to 4. So that's 7, 2, 1, 8, 4, 3, 6. So number 2, I'm going to grab it, and that's my next longest one I have. Let's see if there's any sheathing. Yep, it's not in bad shape. Let's see if it disintegrates. And they are the same length. And look at that, number 2, like I knew what I was doing. Let's put it on there. And basically we're going to redirect this wherever the heat is the most heat coming out of this engine, so the plug wires don't get too ruined. So another longest one here is right there. Let's see if 6 is longer. And that would be 4. So let's grab that one, match it up, transfer the sheathing over. Think you're getting the pattern? This is how we're going to do this. Only have 3 left. Number 4. Going with 6. Let's do 6. See if the sheathing doesn't fall apart. Here's the last one for this side. This should be number 8, which is another short one. So let's match it up. These are all about the same length. So And last but not least will be this lovely one over here, number 3. Let's give it a quick reference. There we go. I'm going to leave the coil wire off because it's just easier for me to get in there, and coil wire putting on once it's in there is still okay. But let's transfer the sheathing over right now and get rid of that. Now it's going to be ready for us. Beautiful. All right, so now we can fish this back in, set it up the way it was, bring this distributor cap down. I'm not worried about the wires yet. I want to get this cap mounted nice and firm before I worry about bringing the wires anywhere. It's such a tight fit back here. We've got to make sure everything's out of the way. Don't tighten. Just get it started and do both sides that way, as you will break these little screws very easily or strip them. You want to go down evenly on both sides. Okay, all right, so now I'm on the right bank passenger side, and I'm grabbing my plug wires in a cluster and trying to bring them down around the way they would go from the factory, which is behind the valve cover. There we go. Because that's where the actual clamps would be to hold these in place. They wouldn't rest over the top of the engine. Another key thing about plug wires is making sure they're not wrapped around each other. You want them individually, independent, because current likes to take the shortest route, and it will do some funky things. So the good news is these are all numbered. So I'm going to try to break them out evenly here. I'm going to go to 8 first, because 8's the shortest. So number 8 is right here. Number 6 is the next one, making sure they're not entwined, like I said. And then we have 4 and 2. Let's bring them around the top here and see what they look like. 4 and 2. Now, hopefully you still have some plastic plug wire holders on your truck. Ours is kind of beaten up, but I see one right down here. I'm going to use them, and I'm going to keep them from hitting that manifold. That's the goal. Look at that. This one's here too. No one was using it. So I'm going to put these 2 on the top in a nice orderly fashion, and then these 2 on the bottom. And this is where the sheathing would come in place, is back here, where the heat would come up and disperse. Now we can go over to bank 1. All right, so now we're going to grab bank 1, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, and we're going to bring them down around. I think I'm going to try to do this one at a time here. And I'm going to go with 7, closest one, which is this one. I'm going to bring it under all these other wires, let them go over the top of it. Push till you feel the click. All right, so now I'm going to go to number 5, which should be this one. Make sure I don't tangle the wires. All right, while I got those 2 wires in the place I want them to be, I'm going to lock them in right into this plug wire holder. All right, so now we're going to go with 3 right here. Bring it down. Plug it in. And then number 1. Get these plugged into this plug wire holder. All right, let's do the coil wire and we're done. All right, so now we can do our coil wire. It's the last wire. I'm going to start the coil here, push that boot on, feel it click, and I'm heading that way. Definitely don't want this entangled with any other wires as much as possible. Bring it down around. Make sure it's not on that manifold. Bring it right to the center of the cap. And then click it down. Now we can put our air box back on, putting this rubber gasket down first, make sure it's seated. Now let's bring this around. Drop this down on. Place it down over the top of the air breather. You've got that little stud in the top here of the rubber bushing. You're going to want to push that clamp down around. Make sure it's seated all the way around. You're going to grab the throttle body. You want to make sure that clamp is down on the throttle body all the way around. So I'm going to put the vent hose from the valve cover onto the top of the airbox. Then I'm going to put the fender side in first. Make sure it clicks in. And line that up. Feel it pop. Now we're ready to start it and see how it runs. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.